Hold up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 7 all new Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs for you. Lots of spooky, some cute. So let's get started with our first DIY. I picked up one of the little skulls on a pedestal. This one is very colorful. We're going to make it look like a real skull though, because I was inspired by these little baby booties from Dollar Tree that look like little skeleton feet. I thought these are very similar to the Christmas ornament booties that you can use for gnomes. So I thought we could make a skeleton gnome. So I'm going to make a sock gnome. The skull is on a pedestal and I'm actually going to use that to my advantage, but I picked up some black men's socks from the Dollar Tree. There's 2 pair. I only end up using 1 pair to make the sock gnome, but the skull, of course, is going to be the head of it. And so first we need to paint it, make it look like a real skull. The first color that I use to go all over it is just like an antique white color here. And I just use a sponge dauber and go over it. I did have to use several coats of the ivory for sure to cover up that purple and blue and all the different colors that were on there before. If you can find it that's not so colorful to start with, that is probably going to save you a few coats of paint. But I definitely wanted this bone color to be the base coat, and I'm going to leave it on the pedestal. Even though we're going to make it into a gnome, I'm going to use that as the body, and we can just do the sock gnome around it. I wanted to do a sock gnome for sure since we're using socks, for the little skeleton feet. That way everything would be kind of the same material. And I'm also going to dress the little skeleton gnome up and kind of make it look like a wizard for Halloween. I thought that'd be really cute. So that is painted. Let me set that aside and let it dry, and we can get started on the wizard hat. I just picked up one of the witch hats from the Dollar Tree that's tinsel. It's a perfect size for the size skull. You could always make your own as well if you wanted to, but I thought this would give me a great structure for a gnome hat because they're shaped the same, right? But I'm going to leave it the witch hat form and just kind of make him look like a wizard. And so I just have to remove the tinsel from the whole thing. It does kind of make a mess to remove the tinsel from this, so you might want to do it over a trash can for sure because you get all those little pieces of tinsel that like to fall off. But I'm definitely going to leave like the brim of the hat on there. At first I thought about taking it off and just making it like a traditional gnome, which you could easily cut this plastic cage down if you wanted to. But I like the idea of using a witch hat for Halloween, of course. So we have all of the tinsel removed from that, and we're going to use socks for that as well. That way everything will kind of be made out of the same material as the booties. It'll all coordinate. And so I just cut the foot off of one of the pairs of socks here, and I just wrap that around. They're very stretchy, so even though it doesn't seem like at first it would go around, it does go around the edges. But I did notice that the tabs kind of stuck out a little bit, giving it a very bumpy edge. But I'm just going to cut those off with a pair of scissors, really easy to snip those off. And then I'm going to continue putting the sock on there. I want it to be long enough to go around the inside of the brim of the hat and to go like on the inside of it a little bit there. And it seems like that length that I cut it is pretty perfect for that. Now I do have a little bit of excess material here on top if I'm going to get that great pointy shape of a witch's hat. So what I did was I just kind of tucked in the excess material there at the bottom. That doesn't need to be attached in any kind of way. And then I kind of pinched the extra material I have here on the witch's hat, and I just snipped off the excess material, leaving enough to be able to overlap that slightly. It is stretchy here for the witch hat, and I can have that be the back of the witch hat where I have a seam, which is totally fine. Still easier than probably trying to make one myself, and it's going to have this great plastic structure underneath of it, which I think really helps. So I just glued that to the cage there with some hot glue, wrapped that around, pulling it tight. Have a little bit more material there on the top, but I'm going to go ahead and trim off all of the excess material there and kind of clean it up a little bit here. If you find you get some hot glue on the outside of the sock, you can always melt that down with a little bit of heat and get that off there and make it look a little bit better. But I think that turned out really cute, and it was a really easy little witch hat, and I think it looks so much better than it did before. I'm not a big fan of the tinsel items from the Dollar Tree, but if you are, you could, I guess, just leave it as is. Now for the skull, we need lots more details. Like we need dark eyes, nostrils, teeth, the little cracks on its head. So I just went in there with a little antique wax by Waverly and a sponge brush, and I am just going to distress it heavily there on the facial features. Also, the little cracks on its head, if I can get to. I just kind of want to distress it all over with the Antique Wax by Waverly. I follow that up with a baby wipe, just blending it all in. If you find that you wipe away too much, you can always go in and add a little bit more. Distressing is very forgivable. I just went ahead and made the little areas that I might have wiped too much a little bit darker, wiped them down again, and then I will go back in with that bone color to bring that out, because sometimes when you can distress it, you can really get like a really brown looking skull. I did want some bone color to come through, but I definitely wanted the cracks and crevices of the skull to be that dark color. And we're going to make him look kind of creepy, yeah, kind of cute too, and give him a really fun beard and stuff as well to go with that like dead garden gnome kind of feel, since he is a skeleton. Now I have him all painted. This is the second sock out of the one pair. I'm going to cut just the foot part off here. This is going to be the body of our sock gnome. And I'm going to simply put that on the little base that's on the skull. I first weighed mine down with a little bit of pebbles there in the very bottom, just to make sure that this doesn't tip over. And I always like to weigh down the bottom of my little sock gnomes, and I just actually put the plastic stand inside of it as well, which makes the body a little too skinny, so I need to stuff it. I was actually out of like any kind of polyfill, so I'm going to use one of these mop heads from the Dollar Tree. These can make really good plush stuffing as well. And I'm just going to cut off a piece about the right size for the body, and I'll use this to wrap that plastic pole inside, and it'll give me that puffy sock gnome body that I wanted. So I just laid this inside, pulling the sock up over it. We'll gather everything up here with the little skeleton's neck. And I have lots of fun ideas for this gnome. This was definitely the one DIY I really wanted to make for this video, so I was so glad that I was able to complete it. He kind of looks like he's wearing like a turtleneck right now. I'm going to gather that material up here at the top and make it look even more so by taking a couple of black zip ties and attaching that. I don't really worry about the rough edge there on the sock seam, because you're not really going to be able to see it, because it's going to have a beard, of course, because it's a gnome. But I will trim up the excess material though, especially here in the back, so you won't be able to see it back here either, because the witch's hat sits on top. It doesn't really go down the back of his head at all. So I just trimmed off the excess material, and the zip ties are strong enough. I used 2 of them there to gather that all together on the bottom. But now we have a body, and then we can attach the hat later. Just trying that on for size, I think that will work. But also trimming up the excess material, making it look a little bit better. I do plan to do a cape for him as well, for his wizard little costume. Now the baby booties have these little plastic pieces in them for display, but I'm going to use those to my advantage. I do cut off like the leg part of them though, because otherwise the little feet would stick out too far in front of the gnome, and I want to attach them. So I do that to both of them, just cutting the leg part off the plastic, but saving the plastic to make it look like it's full. That way I don't have to go back in and stuff it with anything else for my little skeleton feet. So I'm actually going to just attach those to the other sock, just kind of laying it flat up against it. I just use hot glue, and I glue one here on each side. When I saw these booties, I just immediately thought skeleton gnome, and so I had to see if I could pull this off, and I think that I did. Now they are open socks, so I'm going to go ahead and glue them shut as well, so it all kind of sits flat, and you won't be able to see any of that because, of course, he's going to have a gnome beard in the end. Now this is the rest of the sock that I have left over. I'm just going to do the leg part of the sock and cut that off, and then I'm going to cut that in half, and we're going to have a little cape for our little wizard costume, and it'll all be that same material. I think I'll use the finished edge for the very bottom and the unfinished edge around his neck, because you really won't be able to see that too well. I just bring that around to the front and Hot glue that, both parts there, and we have a little cape down the back of him. So the back of him is really cute as well, which is always fun for a gnome that you're going to sit around your house. He's not too big. If you wanted to use him on a tier tray or something like that, you probably could. I'm going to definitely add him into my Halloween decor. For the beard, we're going to use Spanish moss. I know I've been having trouble finding this at the Dollar Tree. Have you been having trouble finding it as well? I've been having to get it at Walmart and I'm pretty much out of it now. So I'm going to have to get more for sure. I don't know why. I used to always be able to get it from the Dollar Tree. But I just take a bundle of it and I'm going to hot glue it here underneath his teeth. I'm not going to do a mustache or anything. I'm just going to do a beard because I do want you to be able to still see his little skeleton teeth. Definitely a feature of the skull. And I thought this was wiry and creepy and would be the perfect, like, undead gnome beard. I thought about using reindeer moss as well, but I really liked the brown, creepy color of the Spanish moss. And I think it was a good choice. It's definitely creepy. It's stringy, kind of like a beard. I'm going to trim off the top here and make that a little bit more even for the beard and then have it here on the sides of his mouth, but no mustache, just up on his cheeks a little bit. And I think that looks really creepy. And then I want to see how it looks with the little wizard hat on there. I was trying to decide if I wanted to give him hair, but being a skull, I kind of wanted him just to be bald. But I am going to have the beard go a little bit further over here on the sides because I have some fun plans for some skeleton arms for him as well. So I just added a few more pieces over here to make it bigger and bushier for his beard and kind of trim that up a little bit. The Spanish moss definitely going to make a little bit of a mess. So be prepared for that. You might want to put something down before you start crafting with this for sure. But I just kind of added some to it until I think it is nice and full and long enough. Now for the arms, I'm going to use the little skeleton hands from the Dollar Tree. I don't like the way they're painted, so I'm going to paint them to match the skull. I just went over mine with some antique white first here and painted that, leaving a little bit of that gray color to come through. And then I'm going to distress them as well so they will match the skull color. Once I get them painted antique white, I'm going to go back in with some antique wax by Waverly and distress them just slightly with that brown and blend it together with a baby wipe here. If you distress too much, you can always go back in with the original color as well. Just want them to look old and like creepy skeleton hands. I had thought about using, I had like some skeleton hands forks that I think I got at Target. I thought about using those, but all I really need is a hand part. So I think these ones from the Dollar Tree are great. They're the perfect size too. And you get a whole package of these. So I'm going to have these go down to the side like that. So he's going to need sleeves. And I do have one piece of the sock left here. So I'm going to use the band around the top there for a finished edge. And I'm going to cut it in half. One of these can be a sleeve for each side. So I just rolled it. I didn't really need to stuff it or anything. They're tiny enough. I can just use some hot glue and roll them into little sleeves here. And I like the fact that they're kind of flexible. They don't really have a dowel or anything inside of them. And then I put a little hot glue on the inside of the sock sleeve and I just put the little hand inside. There's little plastic pieces that make it perfect for this, for crafting. And now we have two little skeleton arms, which I think are really going to finish this little skeleton gnome off. I'm going to have it come out the side here. And since I have that cape, I can kind of hide it underneath of it. So I just pulled up the cape and used a little hot glue to attach one of the little hands. I did make sure I used opposite ones so the thumbs are like going the right direction there. So that will be his left hand. And then let's go over here and do his right arm as well, gluing that underneath the cape. Yeah, I think he's so cute. What do you guys think about this guy? Isn't that adorable? My idea totally worked out. I always love that. Now, time for his hat. I'm going to attach his little hat up here, and I really don't think he needs anything else. I'm going to hot glue it on so it won't fall off. It is the perfect size, but it won't stay on really well without gluing it on. And here he is, our little skeleton gnome, dressed up as a little wizard, which I love. The wizard hat and, of course, the gnome hat are very similar. And this is how he turned out. I think the paint and the combination of the paint and the reindeer moss makes him look really creepy. You could also put like a little black hood on him make him look like a ghoul or something like that. I think that would be really cute as well. But I absolutely love how he turned out. I hope that you do too. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to like, subscribe, and I would really appreciate it if you would hype this video. That will help it get to more people. For this DIY, I'm going to take 2 mason jars from the Dollar Tree. I picked up 2 different sizes, and I thought we could make these into some really fun, like sheet ghost lights. So what I'm going to do is add just tissue paper to these and some battery operated lights from the Dollar Tree. This DIY was so easy and it's so cute. You could put this anywhere. I think I'm going to have this for my kitchen counters. I think that's going to look really cute. My idea was just to take white tissue paper from the Dollar Tree and lay it over the top of the jar like that, so it will be like a sheet ghost. And then we can light it up from above using one of these battery operated lights from the Dollar Tree. And you can put a candle inside, but this is going to be easier because it's got an on-off switch. So what I did was I just laid the tissue paper on top of the jar, hot glued one of the little lights here, and I'll still be able to get to the batteries, the switch, and everything because it's going to be on the top, and it's white, so it blends in with the ghost. This particular light takes 3 AA batteries. I always love my Amazon batteries, and I just went ahead and added all of those. And I'm going to kind of cut off the excess material. This is the smaller jar, and so I just kind of pulled it all together here at the bottom to kind of have an idea about how much of the tissue paper I needed. I'm going to go ahead and remove the jar, cut the tissue paper off that is blocking the light just by using a razor blade. And then I'm going to cut it down a little smaller. I do want it to be like a square sheet that you would wear if you were just being a ghost with a sheet over your head. I just want a very simple ghost design. And the tissue paper works really well for this because it's going to give me that sheet-like material. It's white, right? But it's going to be translucent too. So when I light it up, it's going to be nice and bright. So I just trimmed it down a little bit and then added my sheet here to my jar. I think I need to trim it a little bit more here. That looks better. And we have a little ghost here. Let me make sure that the light works. Let's set that aside and start working on our second jar. This is the larger one. I'm going to do the same thing by putting the tissue paper over it. It was barely big enough since this jar is kind of big, but I think it's going to work. And same thing, I'm going to use one of those battery operated lights. I usually only use the lights off of those. I've been able to find those at Dollar Tree for the last couple of years. I usually find these lights up by the checkout. That checkout area is usually where I find them. And I am going to glue that on, go in, again, cut off the excess material from the light. Really easy to do. I don't want to block that. And then trim it up a little bit. It didn't need much trimming because this is the large jar. And I like the idea of making a couple of these, especially different sizes. So it'll look like a parent ghost, a child ghost, you know, kind of next to each other. So let's try that on for size. I think that looks pretty cute. All I need to do is pop in some batteries on this one. And I have another little light up ghost, but they are going to need faces. I decided just to do eyes for mine. I wanted to keep them very simple. And so I think like 2 oval black eyes will do the trick. I think they look pretty good. I think I have them trimmed down. I just take some of the black felt and I'm just going to cut out a little rectangular piece here, cut that in half. That way I can fold them and try to cut 2 eyes the same size. I always start with a bigger piece than I need, especially if I'm doing like a circle or an oval, because getting them perfect the first try is almost impossible. So I usually have to trim them up a little bit here and it will end up making them a little bit smaller. But I wanted them to be 2 different sizes, one of them larger than the other, but trying to make them symmetrical since I have 2 different sizes of ghosts. If you wanted to cut like a mouth as well, like an open mouth or a scared mouth or something like that, that could be really cute too. I just wanted the simple ghost eyes. And so I just cut 2 pairs of eyes down here and try to make them as symmetrical as possible. Now, all I have to do is attach these to the tissue paper. I wanted something kind of lightweight and something good for fabric, so I decided to use the Dollar Tree tacky glue here on the back of both of them. I think that will glue it very well to the tissue paper here, and I don't have to worry about the glue soaking through. So I don't want it to necessarily be glued to the jar. I just want it to be glued to the tissue paper itself. So there are the smaller eyes for the smaller ghost. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with my larger ghost. And the great thing about this is if I wanted to reuse these jars for something else, I could. I didn't change them in any way. I just made little ghost toppers for them. So there are the eyes for the second ghost. Let me try the lights, make sure they work. That is the magic of these, is when they're lit up. I think they're so cute. So this is the large ghost, and then this is the cute little smaller one next to it. Let me give you a little look of how these turned out. I wanted to show you what they look like even when they're not lit up. If you want to know what they look like during the day, they're still super cute. They definitely look like ghosts. And especially with the white light on top, it's not too distracting because it's white as well. But they look really pretty when they're lit up at night. They are nice and bright. It was very inexpensive to put this DIY together, and I think it just screams Halloween with a little sheet ghost. A very classic, something we've been dressing up with for Halloween forever. That reminds me, I definitely need to get started on my son's Halloween costume. For this DIY, I'm going to use 2 of the candlesticks from the Dollar Tree. These are from the Dollar Tree Plus aisle, the $3 one and the $5 one. They are so nice, wood candlesticks, and really large. But instead of candles for these, I had a different idea. I thought we could take some Dollar Tree vases and fill them up with creepy items that glow. So I chose one of the $75 ones. Is that how much they are now? And one of the $3 vases. I have a Dollar Tree that is getting the more expensive stuff in that doesn't have a price scanner, but it also doesn't have Wi-Fi at that store, or signal for my phone, so I can't use the app either. So it's like a guessing game. I get up to the checkout and I'm so confused about how much everything costs. Now, the lights I'm going to use for these are the 30 string lights. They have these battery operated 30 lights now at Dollar Tree. I actually found them in the hardware aisle of the store I was at, which I love because usually they're only 10 count. We're going to fill this up with glowing eyeballs. So I chose some of the eyeballs from the Dollar Tree. I wanted them different colors, so I did the blue, the green, and the red. And I noticed this year they have 2 different sizes of eyeballs. They have larger ones as well. These are the smaller ones if you're going to recreate this. And I'm trying to use like the same amount of each one. Really, you only need 2 packages to fill up the smaller vase that I got from the Dollar Tree, but I wanted to get 3 different color eyes, so I used 3 packages. Now for the 30 count lights. It's great that there's 30 lights, but be very careful when you're unwinding these. They are wound so tight and so weird. They are very hard to get disconnected from each other without ripping the wire. So I definitely took my time on this. I found it a little bit easier to pull it around the battery pack. I don't know why they're wrapped like that for sure. It's kind of weird. This one takes the AAA batteries, 2 of them. So I'm going to pop those in here to light this up. And my plan is to light up all of the eyeballs inside. I thought that'd be really fun. Now, I can't fit 30 of the eyeballs into this glass vase, so I decided to leave some of them with just light. I'm going to use a razor blade and cut into the eyeball. I found that some of these have like areas that are hard. Some of them have areas of it that is softer. If you can find the thinner side of plastic on these, are going to be even easier to cut through. But you're going to need to cut it enough to be able to get the light bulb down inside. So I'm going to cut another one. Sometimes I was able to just cut a slit and get the light bulb in there. Sometimes I needed to cut a little cross section going the other direction to get the light in there. But I'm going to end up gluing these as well to make sure they stay on there perfectly well. If you had something to poke a smaller size hole in these without damaging anything else, that might be a little bit easier than the razor blade, but I didn't have anything, I didn't think. So what I'm doing is I'm just stringing these. So I did like 2 at the end, then I skipped one, right? And then I did 2 more, and then I'll skip one, and we'll continue that pattern all the way down. I did find that they wanted to fall off on me, so I am just going to add a little bit of hot glue here, glue the openings closed so that they will stay in place. So I'll be able to work with these and arrange them in the vase like I like. And I love the idea of using creepy items like this in the jars that glow instead of using candles. I think it's a fun way to use those candlesticks. So I just kept repeating the pattern: two, skip one, two, skip one, all the way down the light string. And I'm also alternating the color of eyes, so I'll have some variety when I add those to the jar. I think that's going to work out really well. And the extra light's great because it's going to help light up the vase as well. But I love the idea of actually lighting up the light bulb itself. I think that's a really fun idea. And 30 is a lot of lights on these. I was really impressed to find these. They had them in clear like this, which is like a warm clear. And then they also had them in multicolored. I picked up some of those in 30 count as well. Those are going to be great for Christmas crafting. A little bit time consuming cutting these all and adding them, but I love the final result. Now, do you like to decorate like spooky for Halloween, or do you like cute stuff? I like both. And I also like coastal, so I kind of decorate each area of my home a little bit different for Halloween. And let's go ahead and finish up all of the lights for the eyeballs. Now, I thought it would look even creepier if I used like some of the brown floral moss from the Dollar Tree in between the eyeballs to kind of fill up some of the dead space in here. So I'm going to try that out. I'm going to start adding the eyeballs to the vase and then sprinkling in some of the brown floral moss. And as I go, I'm kind of arranging the eyeballs to try to make it look like they are looking out. So I don't want to make sure they're facing in a direction that you're not going to be able to see the eyeball, because then it's going to kind of take away the effect from it. So I just did like kind of one section here at a time. Now, I think that the eyeballs are painted pretty nicely to be from the Dollar Tree without having to make them yourself from like ping pong balls or anything like that. After I have them lit up at night, and then I thought they were a little too bright white. So you'll see here in a minute, I end up distressing those a little bit because I don't mind the white color, but they were just so white with what I'm going to combine them with for the second vase. So I did decide to update the color, but for now I have them just as is. And I'm just going to finish it off here with a little bit more of the floral moss. I found that I needed to arrange it a little bit. A popsicle stick in there would help for that. And just trying that on, I can attach the battery pack, I think, to the back. I don't really want to give up any room inside of the vase. So I'm just going to use some hot glue and attach it to the back of the vase. You can also use some like double-sided tape or something like that from the Dollar Tree for that part. And then for the candlestick, this is the tall one. I'm going to use the shorter vase on. And I'm just going to take a little piece of the black creepy cloth from the Dollar Tree and cut a piece of that down here so it'll just kind of go over the sides. I don't want to attach anything permanently to these candlesticks because they are so great. I want to be able to reuse them for other things, but this is what it looks like so far with the white eyeballs. I went and tested it and I was like, oh, the white eyeballs are too bright. I should have painted them. And I was like, it's not too late. I can still do that. So I just pulled the eyeball light set out. I guess it is a light set now, right? And I'm going to use like some beachcomber beige here mixed together with water. I just wanted a light stain. I still want you to be able to see the bloodshot eyes and the colors of all the different colors of eyes. But when they're just lit up with those lights, I just felt like they were too white and I wanted a little bit of older, creepier vibe. So I just went over it with that watered down paint, trying to do like a wash technique. I think I need a little bit more paint in here. It was a little bit too thin. And I'm going to try that on. I think that works better. I just wanted something very light. You can still see through, but it's just going to distress the eyeballs just a little bit. So I just used a sponge dauber, and a little bit of that goes a long way with these because it's watered down and you can really get the effect without even needing to kind of reapply much of the paint on there. It goes a long way for sure. So I had, let's see, 20. I think I did 20 of the eyeballs. And you could light up every single one of the eyeballs if you had a taller vase. They have all different sizes at Dollar Tree now, and you can always find them at the thrift store as well. I was able to find tons of great glass items at my Salvation Army on Labor Day. They had a 50% off everything sale, and I got some really good stuff there too. So just taking my time and doing every single one of these. I should have done this before I put it all together, but it's never too late to kind of change it. Do you ever change your DIYs when you're done with them and you look at them and you say, oh, but what if I would have? That was one of these. So it was a very thin coat of paint. So very simple to dry those quickly, and we can just go ahead and put this back together. I just kind of dumped out my floral moss there, and I still have my battery pack attached. So again, I just need to put all the eyeballs down inside of there, adding some of the moss as I go, also arranging the eyeballs so they look out. And I'm glad I changed the color because the next item we're going to use for the other vase, it's just going to make it coordinate so much better. So I finished it off with a little bit more moss. Everything fit in here perfectly. And then we can add this eyeball vase back to the candlestick, and this DIY will be ready to go. This is what I meant about just using a popsicle stick to kind of arrange your moss once it's in there. I don't want to block the eyeballs too much. I want you to be able to see what's in there. And I think that's so creepy and cool for Halloween. Now let me show you how I did the other vase. This is the shorter candlestick and the longer vase. We're going to use the Dollar Tree skulls. This year they've made them a little bit wider in color, which I kind of like that. And I don't really think they need painting at all. I think that they're going to be fine like this. So I'm going to see how many will fit in here. And I opened 3, but really 2 would work here. I'm going to light these up as well using another one of the 30 count white lights. And this time I'm trying to be a pro with this one. Unwinding it, I just don't know why they made them so difficult. Normally they're not this difficult, but normally there's only 10 lights. So the wire is really long on this one, but I don't think they thought it through because it's really easy to get it tangled. But if you take your time, you can get it all unwound. And I'm just going to pop in a couple batteries on this battery operated light and test it out. And we can light up these skulls. Now these were even easier because the skulls already had a hole in them, which is perfect, right? So I can just add that in there. I decided to skip one and then add my second one to the skull. And I decided to do every other because, 16 won't fit well in there. So I think 15 will definitely be enough if I'm going to use some of the moss on this one as well. Now, sometimes the lights just popped right in there. And sometimes I had to use like a little screwdriver to make the hole a little bit bigger to make it pop in there properly. But this was a lot easier because the eyeballs did not have any kind of hole in them already. These are kind of all pre-drilled, which I absolutely love that. I don't know why they're like that, but I'm definitely going to take advantage of it. And so instead of 2, 1, like I did on the other one, I just did every other on this one because the skulls are a little bit bigger, even though I have the larger vase. Now I do want them to stay in place, so I did glue them to a little bit of hot glue on the opening of all of these to make sure that these stay on, a little string of lights. And we're going to do these very similar to how we did the eyeballs, just using some floral moss to add these to it and displaying it on one of the black wood candlesticks. I really hope you're enjoying today's video. Be sure to like this video, comment down below your favorite DIY. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I would really appreciate it if you would like hype this video or share it with your friends. Here on YouTube, it has been really, really slow lately. So I need to try to get my videos out to more people. So any help that you could provide, I would really appreciate it. So just like before, I'm adding some of the brown floral moss and adding the skulls, making sure they are kind of going, I don't care if they're upside down or right side up, but I did want faces kind of pointing outwards on these if I could, except for at the top, it doesn't really matter. And then again, just kind of using a popsicle stick to arrange some of my moss down inside there. And these look so cool lit up as well. And I think the addition of the moss just makes it look so much creepier. I'm going to glue the battery pack on the back of this face right there. And then all I have to do is add a little bit of creepy cloth to the candlestick, and this one's going to be ready to go. I'm going to show you what they both look like together because I like to display them as a set. Just cut out a little square of that. I love the creepy cloth from the Dollar Tree. It's one of my favorite items to decorate with for Halloween. Let me show you how the skulls turned out. Such a fun way to use those large candlesticks, and this is such a big statement piece. As you can see, the colors are not too different now since I painted all of the eyeballs. Otherwise, they were really white in comparison, but I think it turned out really cute. What do you guys think? It's also kind of creepy, so let me show you what it looks like lit up at night. They're very bright, but you can definitely tell that we put the lights inside of the skulls and the eyeballs because they all glow from within. See, the eyeballs are still even bright, even with distressing them a little bit. But I love the fact that they glow like that. I think that's just so fun for Halloween. I always love a good light up DIY, but especially for Halloween, I think. It just goes with the whole theme. For this DIY, I wanted to make a spell book. So I picked up just a book from the Dollar Tree and I picked up something with a white cover because I thought that would be easier to paint and decorate. And we are really going to try to customize this and make it look like an old spell book for a witch. There was only writing here on the side. I'm going to try to cover up those raised letters by using a little bit of spackle. And then I can carve out my own letters on that to make it look really haunted and old. And so I just kind of rubbed that over the letters, trying to cover them as much as I can with that spackle, just kind of molding it over the letters like that. And I will let that set up a little bit. And I want it to like start to dry a little bit. And then I can go in and carve out my own letters for the side of the book. This edition really worked well because it also made the book look really old, especially if you're going to be able to see it from the side. I can't wait to decide which way I like displaying this better, laying down or standing up. Both ways look really cool. I just used like a mechanical pencil and made sure I didn't have any of the lead out in it. And then I just started carving my letters in it. I'm just going to have it say spells. And I just do, some capital letters all the way down the side here. Just carving that out. It's probably about halfway dry at this point. It's not completely dry, but enough that I'm able to definitely form the shapes in it like that. Now I have a little bit of room left here at the bottom after I put spells on there, so I'll just do like a little creepy symbol. I thought I would do like a little millipede, so I did like a little worm shape and did little like legs out to the side. Something creepy and cool. And I really want to add a lot of items to this spell book to make it look like it is all embossed and old. I think that's going to look really cool. I also want the page edges to be metallic color. I think that looks really cool. So I'm going to use this metallic silver acrylic paint that I got at Dollar Tree. They've been getting some better paints in. And I'm just using a sponge and painting the edges. This will make all of the pages stick together. If you like that, you can leave it like that. But after it starts to dry, you can separate the pages a little bit and make it still open because I do like it displayed on its side as well. But this turned out really cute, and I'm going to be using that metallic silver to distress the spell book and all of the fun embossed items that we're going to have on the front of it. I really want it to look like an old spell book. So I have just the pages painted, and I have the side sculpted so we can start painting the book now. I just used black acrylic, and I'm really glad that I chose a white book because look how easily that goes on. One coat looks pretty good, but I decided to do two just because black, I really wanted it to be really bold and creepy. And we are going to be distressing this quite a bit as well. So a second coat there on the back. And we can start painting this. Now, when I start to paint it, you can see how I carved out the letters. Very cool. I'm going to go ahead and try to paint it all black though. And then I'm going to go in and I'll try to do like the letters in that metallic silver color for the side of it. And I really like how this turned out. Using the spackle on this part of it really turned out well. I just added enough paint to this. I wanted to make sure you couldn't see any of those red letters through from the original book title. And then just like the back, I'm just going to paint the front of it the same black color here and go over it with a couple of coats so it's really nice and dark. And the items I'm going to decorate with are things I found, stickers I found from the Dollar Tree. One of them is from Dollar General. These are great for corners. These are the stickers from the Dollar Tree that are metallic, and they're already the silver color that I need, which is great. I'm going to stick one to each corner. Now, they are pretty sticky. I did notice, though, when I was painting and distressing this, that they did want to pop loose a little bit from that paint, so you might want to use a little hot glue. I did go back and hot glue those down because I didn't really want to stay put. And then for the title of the book, I'm going to do it with hot glue, but I really wanted a structure of the letters And so for the first coat of the letter, I'm going to use the little, I guess, felt letters from the Dollar Tree to spell out the word spells. They are like a felt material, which doesn't really make much sense for a book, but they're going to give me a great stencil for when I go back and add all kinds of fun texture to this. So they're peel and stick, which makes it really easy, and they are very sticky. So I just started here in the middle so I can kind of have it centered and peel and stuck all of the letters on here a little bit towards the top. And you can call your spell book like whatever you wanted. I just wanted something simple, like one word spells on there, because I want to add lots of other decorative pieces. These stickers are from the Dollar Tree. They're very similar to the corners, right? They're silver and cool. I'm going to choose this one and put it up here. It's really going to make the little spell book look fancy. And then these are some Halloween stickers. They had some shapes that I think would work, like the little witch's cauldron. I can add that above that. And I thought these are really cute. The little bat stickers. These were only $1 at Dollar General. So be sure to remember to check there. They have some cute items for crafting that are cheaper than the Dollar Tree now. I'm going to add the bat here underneath the word spells. And we're going to keep building this out. I don't think I don't think you can do too much on this one. I think you can just really have fun and create with it. This one had 2 of the little bottles of potion. I'm also going to add like a little witchy candle in there, maybe a spider web, and a witch's hat here on the other side to kind of balance it all out. And then I am just going to paint it all black. My plan with that, a lot of it is silver, right? Is that I can wipe some of that away, and I will go back and forth with the black and the silver and just keep distressing it until everything kind of looks very consistent. I tried with a dry brush to kind of wipe off some of the black paint, but I noticed that not a lot of the silver was coming through. And the stickers from the Dollar Tree have multiple colors on them as well. And I really only want them to have black, so I'm definitely going to have to add some more color to those, especially these right here. I found that a paper towel, just dragging that across it, allowed more of the silver cut to come through, but I also have the metallic silver paint that I can use to distress everything as well. So I don't really care if it gets on the back of the book. I'm just trying to distress all of the stickers. And I just kind of blend it in here and distress the book as I'm making everything look kind of silver here so they will stand out. And I just went ahead and distressed everything with the silver. The thing that was already kind of perfect was the bat. So I'm kind of using that for inspiration. And just adding black and silver to everything. I added a little silver thieves as well, just to kind of distress this area of the book too. We are going to add some things to those letters so that they're not necessarily just fabric. And then I took the silver and kind of distressed all over. I want this book to look really old, like an old spell book. So the more distressed, the better. The side of the book is kind of distressed with the texture. It makes it look really worn out. But for the front, the distressing, I'm going to get most of that just with paint. I'm just using a baby wipe and kind of blending that. And I'm going to go back and forth with the colors. And I decided to go ahead and distress the bat as well, just to kind of make it blend in a little bit. And it's looking pretty cool. Now here for this side where I have the word spells going down the side of the book, I'm just going to use a paint pen. I have a Posca metallic silver paint pen. That makes it a little bit easier. And I just color in all of the letters that we sculpted out here and in the spackle, including the little bug here at the bottom. And then I'm also going to distress this as well. I just drag some of that silver paint over and wipe off the excess with a baby wipe and then go back in with my original black color and just kind of distress back and forth till it looks like the side of a spell book would look. I really want you to be able to read it though, so let me kind of outline those letters a little bit more. And this book was so much fun to make. It's really coming together. This is when I noticed that these were starting to lift off. So I did glue all of the corners down. All the rest of them stayed in place pretty well. Now, I usually don't use colored hot glue, but I found these on Amazon, black glue sticks. So I'm going to put those in my little mini hot glue gun here off to the side. I just have to get the clear hot glue out of it. And now I have black hot glue. And that will be really fun to add some fun texture to this. I did notice that when I was separating some of my pages here so they don't stay stuck together forever, that my cover did stick a little bit there, but otherwise pretty good, I think. It's supposed to look old and creepy, right? Now for the letters, since I already have the felt letters on there, you could also do this with like the metal letters. It's going to give you a stencil. And I'm just going to fill that in with the black hot glue. And I really loved this. I also got some white hot glue. I thought that would be good for Halloween crafts as well. And I wanted to look kind of stringy and old, but very textured. And that really helped with that. And then I can use it to add some other features to our spell book. I'm going to do a couple little snakes up here at the top, just building those out with hot glue. Very fun. Down here, I'm going to do a couple spiders. I don't have anything in this area. And it makes it look very 3D, like all of the stickers that we added to the book as well. And I thought we could do like a little centipede down here. I just did like a little worm shape. And then I'm going to give it lots of creepy legs here. And the hot glue did pretty good. It was great for like not really stringing or anything like this. I'll have to be sure to add this to my Amazon list, my Amazon shop, if you guys want to get some colored hot glue as well. Now, since it's black, I needed to distress it with silver like I did everything else. So I let that set up and I just used some of that metallic silver paint from the Dollar Tree and went over everything, embossing that as well. Very cute, and everything's kind of looking like the same kind of color. So I do need to bring a little bit more black into this project too. I just kind of went over and distressed everything with a little bit more black. And I found that most of my distressing kind of wiped off here on the side. So I decided to distress the side of my book a little bit more too, to make it a little bit more silver. And I haven't really done anything with the back cover of it, just the plain black. So I went ahead and distressed that with silver as well. But we're not going to have anything back there really. And I just kind of go back and forth to the black and the silver, distressing everything until I'm happy with it. The spell book did take me a little bit longer than I had intended, but it was so much fun to craft. And you can really get creative with your spell book that you're going to definitely enjoy doing it. So just distressing everything with silver again, trying to make everything look like they're all part of one book. Something super fancy. And then I noticed that I did get a little bit of paint bleeding on the inside of the covers. So I thought, I can just paint that as well, especially if I'm going to be standing the book up. I'm going to want the front and the back to be black as well. So I just painted the inside of the cover in the first page black here on the back, and I'm going to do the same thing here because as you can see, a little bit of silver paint kind of leaked down when I was painting the edges of the sheets. And I didn't go in and separate every page, but I did enough where I think I can be able to display it sitting up and it will still look really cool. So here it is, our little spell book for Halloween. So fun. I think it turned out really cool. Very creepy. It definitely looks old and enchanted, I think. And you can use a book like this from the Dollar Tree or an old book that you are kind of done with. You could definitely recycle it into this project. Isn't that so fun? I really had a great time with this. I do have another idea for like another a witchy DIY that I'll have to do probably in the next video. For this DIY, we're going to use one of the little wired trash baskets from the Dollar Tree and one of their candlesticks and this plastic plate. I got it for like a quarter, I think, on sale at Target, but it's just a plastic black plate. And I'm going to use this because it's the right size and it's the right color. I don't have to paint it or anything. The candle holder from the Dollar Tree is also black, so that's perfect. So I'll just have to paint the little trash basket. I don't know. I think these might come in black if you can find them in black. Mine was white. So I'm just going to use some spray paint and some matte black here. And I'm starting with the inside of it and spraying everything. What I want to do is DIY a really fun, like ornate bird cage for Halloween, something creepy and cool. So I went ahead and painted the inside and the outside of the trash basket. And this makes the perfect like cage to go on top of it. This DIY was so easy and it just turned out so cute. Definitely gives me some fun, creepy vibes for Halloween. So I just went over everything here on the front and the back with the spray paint, and we will set this aside to let that dry. I don't know what was going on with my light on this video. It kept changing. Maybe all the spray paint or something got to my camera. but I'm just going to take a stick that I found from my yard and a little bit of foam here, so I'll have something to attach it to. This foam piece from the Dollar Tree was a little bit too tall, so I just cut mine in half and I'm only going to use half of it. I just wanted something that I could attach the tree to here so I could have something for the bird to be perched on inside the cage. I hot glued the foam right to the middle. And then I'm just going to carve out a little opening here for the tree branch that I want to sit down inside of it. And the tree branch is kind of falling apart and creepy, but I kind of like that. I'm going to try the bird cage on it to make sure it will fit. And it does. One problem I had though is when I think I attached it here, I don't think I got it straight upright like I had it before. And I do have to end up trimming it a little bit. But as you can see, a lot of the bark was coming off of it. And I also hot glued it in place to kind of make sure that it doesn't fall over on me. So I'm going to distress it with a little tan, a little brown colors, just for the areas because of the bark had fallen off the tree, just to make it look a little bit better. I thought about making it black, but I didn't want to make everything black since I already have the black candle holder, the black plate, the black cage. We're going to have a black bird in here. And then I'm going to take some of that brown floral moss from the Dollar Tree and glue that all over the foam piece so you won't be able to see that. Just attaching that with hot glue. And I'm also going to use that as the bedding here on the bottom of the cage. I think that's a perfect color to complement the black plate, and it looks really spooky for Halloween. Now I wanted like a crow or a raven. I couldn't really find anything at Dollar Tree, so we're going to make it out of one of these Christmas ornament birds from the Dollar Tree. I chose the white one instead of the red. I thought that would be easier to paint. And I'm just going to go all over it with acrylic, just using a sponge dauber, paint dauber. I've tried to spray paint these, I think, in the past, and I think it dissolves them because I think they have a lot of foam on the inside of them. So be wary, use acrylic paint and add it. That's why I didn't paint it at the same time that I painted the trash basket, because I definitely have that memory of that happening. Spray paint and foam just do not mix well. And I just painted all of the feathers, the bird, the beak, everything. And I'm also going to do like a little fancy finial for the top of the cage. I picked up this little wood piece. I think I got like maybe 4 of these in a package from Temu. I thought they were really cute, especially for a little finial, something to raise it up. And of course, I want it to have a Halloween shape on there. So I'm going to use one of the little glitter bats from the Dollar Tree here. It does have a little plastic piece. I pulled it off the clip and I just trimmed off the plastic piece so I can lay that flat there on that little finial. But you can use anything you can find, even like a spool or something like that would be really cute, something around to lift this up. I attached the bat to it with a little bit of hot glue, and I like the black glitter. I think that's going to be a fun little touch to this, and that's going to go on the top of the bird cage. Now our bird is starting to dry. It does have some wires on there for on the feet, but I noticed they weren't large enough to go around the twig that I had them on, so I just went ahead and trimmed them off. And we can just attach the little black bird with some hot glue here. I'm going to kind of arrange him where he will fit well in here. And, all birds kind of have a similar shape. So I wanted him to look like a raven or a crow. And I think we kind of got that look with the black bird. Now for the spiders, I'm going to use the little glitter spider clips from the Dollar Tree. That way it will kind of correspond to that little glitter bat we had on top. And we can have a couple of spiders crawling here in the bottom of the bird cage. And I also want it to look creepy. So we'll have like some skeletons too. We'll do some skulls and some bones in there. And I hot glued some of them down. The bones, I'm not really going to. I'm just going to kind of lay those in there. These are the Dollar Tree bones. They are a little bit wider this year too, which I loved. I didn't have to paint these or anything. And I'm just going to stack some in there on the bottom to make it even creepier. And I think that looks really cool for a bird cage. So let's go ahead and attach it to the candlestick. I'm going to actually do it upside down like this so I have more area that I can hot glue to that plastic plate. And I'm just going to glue that right to the top. You could always use a charger from the Dollar Tree for the base too. This plate is a little bit smaller though, so it's going to fit this trash basket perfectly for the top. So let's go ahead and attach the finial, our little black glitter bat here. I hot glue that right there in the center. The trash basket's going to be upside down like that to form the cage. And to make sure that that stays on there a little bit better, I'm going to try to hot glue it here from the other side as well, because I want you to be able to lift this on and off without that falling off. And I found that seems to be pretty sturdy. Now, this is when I went ahead to try it on and it no longer fits. I think when it started falling over and I hot glued the stick on, I didn't get it like straight up and down like I had it when I tested it. And I was like, hey, shoot, I tried this and it fit, but no big deal. I'm just going to try to use my miter scissors to cut this little twig down a little bit. So make sure you don't make your little tree inside a little bit too big. But free materials, straight from my yard, just a stick from my yard. I was able to cut that down without damaging anything else here on the DIY. And you can add whatever kind of creepy things like eyeballs, whatever you can find from the Dollar Tree down there below. But I like the combination of the Halloween items there underneath the black bird. And some of my bark fell off. I just went ahead and hot glued it back on. It's supposed to look creepy and kind of dead anyway. And this is how it turned out, our little bird cage for Halloween. It was actually really easy to do. If you could find like the black trash basket wired like this, then that would be another step that would speed you up even more. But you can get really creative with it, and it was just so much fun to make. And I think it's going to look really creepy with my Halloween decor. Now it's time for the final reveal. I really hope you enjoyed these 7 Halloween DIYs. Please let me know which one was your favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. And you can find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social media. And this is my QR code if you would like to buy me a coffee. Enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. Whenever you watch the entire video, it really helps me here on YouTube. And thank you so much to my YouTube members. Thank you to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Marin Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Powell Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Mindy Hupp, Jenny, and Debbie Austin. I really appreciate you all so much. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to today's video on your computer or your phone. And you're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube, a badge next to your name when you comment down below, and a shout out in every video. We would also love to see your DIYs. Be sure to share them with us in our private Facebook group, linked in the description of today's video, as well as chapters for anything you might want to go back to. Now, if you would like even more Halloween crafting inspiration, I've got you covered. Check out one of these YouTube videos right here for Halloween DIYs. And until next time, happy crafting for Halloween.